Jamah maintains that they joined the government of national unity with the aim of weakening the Democratic Alliance's influence from the inside. The party became the 10th member to join the GNU. And joining us now is its president, Hendricks, who joins us via our video link. Great to have you on the program, Mr. Hendricks. Thanks very much indeed for making time. The Patriotic Alliance there in that report saying that they outraged by the DA's demands. To what extent does Jamah share the same sentiment?
Look, we have received a letter from the president about phase 2, which means that the president has to consult with each one of the 10 parties. That will take another 2 or 3 days. So that has now given us an indication of timelines. And I would imagine that after the consultation, the president will then put together a cabinet. So I know that the political parties are anxious to establish the executive, but we have to be patient. And Jamah, our take is that the president will make the announcement on Sunday. In the meantime, there's a lot of work to be done. A steering committee has to be formed to establish a government of national unity. It hasn't been established yet. Also, we need to establish the accreditation of civil society organizations to be part of the national dialogue. So those are most probably going to be 2 parallel processes. It's a new way of governing South Africa. And, we just have to be patient.
It certainly is a new way, and many people, of course, are worried because we've never been here before. A lot of the discourse has been dominated around what the ANC and DA want to move us forward, but to what extent are the other parties in the GNU getting an equal opportunity to have their voice heard? I mean, have you, for example, had an opportunity to engage the president about Jamah's own proposal?
Look, we haven't engaged the president, but we did engage the Big 7 of Lethule House. We had a meeting with them, which excluded the president and the deputy president. And then we had a meeting with a delegation from the NEC of the ANC, and we had a meeting with a delegation of the National Working Committee. And as time rolled out, we got a better understanding of what the plan is on how South Africa is going to be governed in the future. And that's why Jamah changed its position. Yes, we did lobby the Progressive Caucus to throw their weight behind the ANC, so that because we anticipated that the DA will try and flex its muscles with the 21% vote that it got. And we felt it was very important for the political parties to the left to throw their weight behind the ANC and bend over backwards to ensure that the DA does not get the influence that it is trying to get now and dictate on how South Africa should be governed in the future. The voters rejected the DA, that's why they only got 20%. The ANC is a minority government, they got most of the votes. So we now have to ask the ANC to take the lead, and it will be very helpful if parties to the left throw their weight behind the ANC. So many of us who were in the Progressive Caucus have joined the government of national unity because we were convinced that is the way how we can support the ANC. Another member of the Progressive Caucus has just sent me a message that they are also engaging with the ANC with a view to joining the Progressive Caucus. We know that the Deputy President is engaging with MK, and we also know that the EFF has had ongoing engagement with the ANC on a daily basis. So eventually all parties to the left will be part of the government of national unity, and the DA will be reduced to the 20% that it has, and progressive political parties will then have 80%. The DA will have to take a back seat. We don't need them.
It sounds to me that there are a couple more steps to be taken before we get there, especially because the EFF has put down very clear conditions. But let's not digress. I mean, you speak about holding the DA accountable in some ways or the other. Do you not think that you have a better opportunity or a better chance at that from being outside the government? And let me put my question to you in this way. If Jamah were to be given, for example, a position in cabinet alongside the DA and other political parties, you will form part of the very same government that has to accommodate the views of a democratic alliance. It's much harder, for example, to speak up against a fellow cabinet member than it would be to speak out against a member of the executive from the outside.
No, you're quite right, but that will be reduced substantially because the silver bullet in this arrangement is that there will be an alternative dispute resolution procedure. If parties don't reach sufficient consensus, that is where we will pitch our concerns. And if we are, for example, feel very strongly about the DA's position on the genocide or events in Palestine, we can then raise it, and we can then also have a second bite at the cherry by presenting it to, let's say, the arbitration tribunal. Will make a determination. So the chances of there being conflict at the cabinet level is much reduced, but Jamah's position is quite clear that we are in the government of national unity and we are in opposition to the DA because of their policies and their unhumanitarian approach to the lives of women and children.
The DA's demands, as I mentioned earlier, is certainly what's been dominating even the headlines on the papers this morning. I'm sure you must have seen the letter that was leaked, and I wonder to what extent it aligns with what you have been told the DA is asking for from within the conversations you're having about this GNU.
Look, the DA 2 weeks ago when this whole process started, they tried to get the upper hand, and we heard Alan Zilla coming out with all kinds of demands that they are foundation members, that no other party like Jamah will be able to join. Secondly, that there is a grand coalition between the DA and the ANC. Thirdly, that they have the right of veto. Fourthly, they want proportional representation. And the media, unfortunately, supported this narrative, strengthened it, and that was on the top of mind of all South Africans. The media didn't bother to consult with the Big Seven of the ANC. They didn't consult with the NEC. They didn't consult with the NWC. Jamah did that, and we got a better understanding. So the letter by the DA leak, I think the ANC has dealt with it sufficiently. They've put the DA on terms and told them, please stop this nonsense. You can't use the media to try and influence us to give you more cabinet positions. So the DA has carefully used the media. You know, they virtually own the media through their Zionist connections. That hasn't succeeded. The ANC has seen through it. Maybe the ANC has been slow to respond. But they have responded, and they've told the DA to stop this nonsense now. And the president has the constitutional prerogative to appoint a cabinet. Please respect the Constitution. The DA is disrespecting the Constitution by trying to take over the constitutional role of the president. If they wanted to do that, why didn't they put someone up as president when we had the first sitting of Parliament? So they want to take over the responsibilities, constitutional responsibilities of the president.
Yeah.
They claim to adhere to the Constitution, but here they're breaking the allegiance to the Constitution. They swore an oath to the Constitution, and yet they're breaking their oath already. So they're not a credible partner to work with. They also want to undermine Parliament. The Speaker has the right to establish portfolio committees. Portfolio committees consist of a multi-party membership of 5 or 6 or 7 parties.
Yeah.
They want to undermine the Speaker by before the portfolio committees meet to elect a chairman, they want certain chairman positions. The DA also wants to deprofessionalize the Public Service Commission. They want to have a say in the appointment of director generals.
All right.
They also, there are reports, they also want to have a say in tenders. So
Mr.
everything that goes against democracy and the matters that the DA claim to have championed, they've now shown their true colors.
Sure. Mr. Hendricks, this is a mouthful for a party with which potentially you'll have to collaborate in order to have any kind of a semblance of stability within the government of national unity. I mean, look, I'm all for allowing parties, of course, to say what they need to say in the public domain. It's important for members of the public to know what all the parties are thinking, even about each other. But I have no doubt that many people who are listening to you right now are seriously wondering to what extent this government of national unity will continue to coalesce when the mudslinging is so overt and explicit in the public.
Look, it's not mudslinging. We will always differ with the DA because our policies, our philosophy, our ideology is opposed. And that's why the ANC had the wisdom of Solomon to put in place a dispute resolution procedure, because we are going to fight each other to the nail to try and reach sufficient consensus. Parties will hold on to their positions. And when the chairman sees that there's a deadlock, he will refer it to an alternative dispute resolution procedure. So those of us who think that it will be very rosy in the government of national unity, that is not going to be the case. Parties are going to vigorously put their positions. It's not going to be a cozy arrangement. But once the arbitration panel has made a determination, we will all abide by it. And our supporters will know that we made our best endeavors to put our case, to oppose, in this case, the DA. And they will understand that the arrangement is that at the end of the day, there has to be a resolution. And Jamah will then have to rest its case after putting up a big fight in the forums that has been established, and so will other political parties. I don't see how any political party to the left will agree with anything that the DA does. But there are certain issues where we will find one another. We know about the whole issue of job creation. Jamah has a position of full employment. The DA is talking about 3 million jobs, the ANC 5 million jobs. That's possibly an area where we can work together for the benefit of all South Africans. We cannot have unemployment, 20 million people unemployed for the next 20 years. So Jamah's manifesto promise was full employment, and we're sure that we are going to, put a good case. And maybe even the DA will support us with regard to full employment and decent work, because South Africa signed the Convention on Decent Work with the ILO 10 years ago, and President Mandela got the first annual award for promoting decent work, but we don't see it in South Africa. So Jamah wants to take the lead in trying to implement our commitments to the International Labour Organization.
All right. Jamah's president is Ganief Hendricks. Thanks very much indeed for agreeing to speak to us. Very interesting indeed. And we certainly get a sense that even though there are areas of convergence, there are still so many other areas of conflict. Once again, Ganief Hendricks, the president of the Jamah Party, we appreciate your time.